Hi, my name is Callie Chappelle, and welcome to this video, Introduction to Debate, Part 1. This video is part of the Novice Go Fight Win series, a series of videos dedicated to teaching novices how to do policy debate. So welcome! So in order to make the most out of this video and the subsequent videos, you should take notes and rewatch bits you need re-explained. Hopefully we'll have worksheets and or supplemental materials that will go along with the video, so check out the video description to see if that's there. There's going to be a lot of information in these videos and subsequent ones, but you don't need to memorize it all. But what we hope is that you're at least familiar with everything in the video, so as we go on to subsequent videos, you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember she talked about speech times in this first video, or she talked about all the cool people in debate in video 1. And then you can have a foundation for later videos, because it's all just a building process. Next, your coach may like things differently, or you just may like to debate in a different style. This is totally okay. This is just one starting point, not an end point. And to be honest, the bottom line is the fact that you're watching this video puts you way ahead of the learning curve. So, snaps for you! Welcome to Policy Debate. It's an amazing activity. So who am I? Well, I'm a debate coach at Gulliver Prep. You can see, here I am, winning varsity states in high school. And I was formerly a debater for the University of Michigan. In high school, I debated for Traverse City Central, and I was the captain my senior year. I am a second negative, first affirmative speaker. Don't worry, you'll learn what that is in a little bit. And why am I doing this? Well, I think debate is a really amazing activity, and I want to give back to the community that's given me so much. And as someone who, as a novice, had very little coaching, it's really important to me to provide a level of coaching for novices that were in similar or worse situations than I was. So, let's talk about cool people in policy debate, because there are a lot of them. First, Samuel Alito, a Supreme Court Justice. Lyndon Johnson, U.S. President. Michael Moore, famous filmmaker. And Brad Pitt, actor. So, what do all these people have in common? Well, they're awesome, and they all did policy debate. And not everyone who does debate goes on to be a lawyer, and not everyone who goes on to be a judge. There are a diversity of people who are in the activity. For me, I study science. But I found the skills that I've gained in this activity have been incredibly helpful. So, why debate? Well, first, conquer your classes. Ultimately, debate teaches you how to think. So I made this handy-dandy table looking at how school skills are applied in debate and how debate can help you hone skills in school. So first, how to craft a persuasive essay in English. Well, you've got that on lockdown, because in debate we learn how to do an overview and line by line. And don't worry if you don't know what this debate stuff is, you'll learn it in later videos. In school, you might be asked how to conceptualize a different concept or a difficult concept in math. And in debate, we look at highly technical, very theoretical concepts using the critique and the politics disadvantage. A school skill, well, I guess this is a life skill, is to learn how the NSA is spying on you. How does domestic surveillance work? And that's the entire topic. This year, we're looking at how the government uses surveillance on citizens in the United States. And of course, last but not least, how to out-argue your teachers in civics and social studies classes. And you'll learn that in process counterplans. Not only will you be very successful in school as a debater, but you can also be the teacher's favorite. You can argue with your teachers and win. Crazy story. When I was at debate camp one year, we had a debater who looked just like Sheldon Cooper, except for I didn't know this until I started watching Big Bang Theory a little, like, years and years later, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy seems really familiar, the Sheldon. And then I realized, wow, I met someone through debate that was just like Sheldon and is now at Penn Engineering. Super smart guy. Right, there he is. So who am I? Well, I like to think of myself kind of as the Elle Woods. So not only does debate attract, a particular demographic, but people of all types, even unexpected people like me and Elle. Another cool thing about debate is you get to make friends from all over. So my senior year, I went to a debate camp. Yeah, I know, I'm a huge debate nerd. And I met all of these crazy people. Let me just point out the people that I met and where they're from. She's from Georgia, New York, Iowa, Kansas, Utah, Maryland, Washington, Illinois, I mean, the list goes on. California, Arkansas, Florida, and me from Michigan. Look at how many states are represented in this tiny, tiny group. I mean, as a college student at a huge university, every time I meet someone, we always have some kind of mutual friend that I know through debate and they went to high school with. It's really crazy. Okay. I feel like I need to insert another disclaimer here. Not gonna lie, there's a lot to learn. But don't get overwhelmed. All novices are in the same boat, and no one expects you to be perfect. Let's make a deal. I will try to make these videos fun and engaging, so keep out an eye for the random gifts that I throw in. And you work hard and pay attention and learn. And between the two of us, we will develop a kick-butt novice year. Promise. Pinky promise. Okay, so what is policy debate? Well, sometimes it's easier to explain what debate is not, and debate is not two people arguing, it's not in front of a lot of people, and it's not what lawyers do. So what is debate? Well, here's the honest truth. It requires a lot of hard work. So just like a sport or a musical instrument or being an awesome person, for some people, it requires research, practice, and a lot of learning. And debate's really rewarding because the debaters who work the hardest do the best. It's that simple. Of course, debate looks great on a college application, but more importantly, debate's really fun. It's for adrenaline junkies, but without the risks. Debate also teaches you how to think, because you're up against the smartest people across the country, but you're also one of the smartest people in the country. So, yeah. And, of course, community, friends, and great people are all things you find in debate. So, what do we debate about? Well, debate centers around the resolution. So this is a general statement about how the United States government should address some kind of national problem. So this year, the resolution is as follows. Resolved. The United States federal government should substantially curtail its domestic surveillance. This resolution is voted on across the country, and debaters across the U.S., from Michigan to New Mexico, debate the same resolution. And the topic stays the same the whole school year. So what are some other resolutions? Well, my favorite resolution was about decreasing military deployments overseas. It could be about increasing space exploration or development, or increasing transportation infrastructure. Or last year's topic was all about exploring or developing the Earth's oceans. So where do we debate? Well, typically we debate in classrooms, at debate team practice, at tournaments, or at debate camp. And how does a debate work? Well, two teams of two people sit down to debate the resolution. And at a tournament, every two-person team is actually debating at the same time in different classrooms. So if you're at a tournament that has 100 teams, then all 100 teams will simultaneously be debating another two-person team all at the same time. And there are two sides of every debate. The first is the affirmative team, or the AF team. And their goal is to give a reason why the resolution is good, known as the affirmative plan. So the affirmative team might say, we should curtail surveillance of metadata, which is just information about data. And the negative team, so that's the other team, they give reasons why the AF's plan is a bad idea or does not fit under the resolution. So an example is the negative team might say to a metadata affirmative that metadata surveillance is actually good. It's necessary to prevent something like a terrorist attack. So let's look at how a debate round is set up. Well, typically we have two tables, and at one table we have the affirmative team, and at the other table we have the negative team. And across from the two teams is the judge. Usually there's only one judge, and they're facing the debaters. But later in tournaments, there might be multiple judges. So we have two different teams, they're facing the judge is facing the teams. So, can I pick what side I want to be? Well, you'll actually have to debate both sides of the topic. And at first, you might be like, oh, double the amount of work. But it's actually incredibly rewarding because you have to understand things from both sides. And that means that you just understand them better. So, what happens? Well, in class, your teacher might decide who's AF and who is neg. At debate, in practice debates, your coach might decide at practice. And at tournaments, the tournament actually uses a computer program to decide this. And at tournaments, they try to make it fair, so you'll debate 3 times on the AF and 3 times on the negative if you're at a tournament that has 6 rounds. So let's talk a little bit about speaker positions and times. So there are 8 speeches in a debate, and each debater gets to debate 2 speeches, one constructive 8-minute speech and one rebuttal 5-minute speech. So I've listed here on the side what all the speeches are in a debate and who gives those speeches. And you don't need to remember this. You can make a copy of the speaking order, and we're going to have a whole video just devoted to that. But after a while, you'll remember the order and times without a copy. Now, most speeches are prepared before the round or during prep time in the debates. So in each debate, not only are there 8 speeches, but there's intermittent times between the speeches where you're allowed to prepare your speeches or help your partner prepare. And that's typically 8 minutes and can be taken at any time during the debate except for while another debater is speaking. At the end of the debate, the judge will tell you who won and what you need to work on. They'll give you lots of feedback. But don't worry too much about this. There's going to be many other videos that will show you more, and really what I want you to know is that there is a speaking order and time limits for speeches in debate. So how does the AF win? Well, the AF has to prove that the resolution is true. And remember, the resolution is the United States federal government should substantially curtail its domestic surveillance. Well, how do you prove that's true? Well, you come up with ideas that you'll advocate. For example, we should curtail domestic surveillance by ending data encryption, or we should stop surveillance of metadata. And in order to do this, you have to prove 4 things. The first is inherency, so that my plan idea is not happening right now, because if it's happening now, we don't need to do it again, right? The second thing is the plan. So here is my plan idea. This is what we should do. So the example above was we should curtail surveillance on data encryption, or by ending data encryption. The third thing are the advantages. So if we did my plan, it would be a good idea because it might help tech companies, or perhaps it helps the economy. And finally, is solvency. So if we did my plan, it would actually work. There are people who think that this would work, and here's evidence that proves that that's true. So this is a really basic introduction. Eventually, you'll know a lot more about how to win on the AF, but that's a topic for another day. So how does a neg win? Well, take out the advantages, take out the inherency, take out the solvency, take out the parts that the AF would use to win. Also, prove that there are bigger disadvantages than advantages to the AF. Doing the AF's worse than not doing the AF. Also, you could prove the plan is not an example of the topic, that it's not curtailing domestic surveillance. Or prove that an alternative action is better than the AF, which we call a counterplan. Also, you could prove a criticism or a theoretical understanding of the AF is flawed. So for example, if the AF focuses too much on the impact of humans and doesn't take into account the interconnection of nature, that would be a reason why the AF's a bad idea, because it's simply not philosophically true. Whew, wow, that was a lot. Don't worry, you don't need to learn all of this yet. Just know that there are things the AF must prove and there are things that the neg must prove. And remember, you can always take notes and evidence into a debate. So here's the bottom line. All the skills you need into debate fall into one of 2 categories. The first is knowledge. So you have to have a certain amount of knowledge about the topic you're debating about and the specific argument you're forwarding to make smart arguments, or even know what arguments are smart to make. The second thing is technique. You have to have the skills to effectively and efficiently deploy your knowledge using the specific techniques of policy debate. And together, these 2 things produce a strategy, and of course, having a good strategy results in wins. So, coming up after the break, we're going to talk about evidence in debate, technology in debate, and have a quick Q&A for policy debate. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and you'll join me again. And in the meantime, go fight, win.